Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cosmere Connections. We're a bunch of book-loving nerds trying to find the secrets of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere as we reread the entirety of its story from Book 1 to Book 16 billion. Today we are joined by Swiggityswoo.
Hey, what's going on? I've been stretched into the stars and the wind and all endless things.
We've got Kay,
Hey, how's it going?
and my name is Reader. And today we're going to be giving our predictions for Mistborn, Era 3, Era 4, the Cosmere in general, after The Lost Metal. Hopefully, John's going to be able to join us so we can talk about his thoughts on the ending, as we were not able to do so last time. But we hope to be able to do so and see what his thoughts and reactions were. We could finally talk to him about things we were unable to.
There's so much I wanted to say last time that we couldn't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Preface is that this is a full spoiler podcast, so if you have not read all of the Cosmere, step away and come back later.
At the very least, if you are not caught up on everything Mistborn, then do not watch this episode. We will definitely be talking Mistborn spoilers, and it is likely we could move on to Stormlight Archive spoilers, Warbreaker spoilers, Elantris spoilers, or anything else.
I would say we're definitely going to enter Stormlight territory at the very least. Probably even beyond that. Yeah.
Definitely Elantris territory as well.
Yeah, boy. Well, then let's get into it. Anybody want to start us off by a wild theory?
The floor is yours.
Oh,
Not-
floors.
I would say not really a wild theory, but I do wonder what the implications are of the fact that we've seen that you can use Elantrian magic off world, because the problem with so the Elantrian magic system is very powerful and it can be used in a lot of different ways, but the problem is that it's regionally locked, and the farther that you away you get from Elantris, the harder it is to use the magic. But we saw in The Lost Metal where Shy, when Shy, what is her name when she gets transformed into a Elantrian?
You're not
I
talking
don't
about
just call her
Moonlight, right?
Moonlight. I think it's like Shy or something like that. Or
I
like,
don't know the book.
Does her name change after
but
she forges herself into
yeah,
an Elantrian?
yes,
Yep.
it
All right.
does.
I'll see if I can look that up.
But
May as well.
we see that she makes a map of the Lendl Basin to
Basin.
use as her lock, so that she can use her powers. And I thought it was interesting that she didn't even realize that she did it.
Maybe it's really tough to know what's going on with Lanchas because we've only gotten the one book, and that was at the very beginning of Brandon's writing career, so we have no idea really what
but
he's.
but we're getting two more soon.
Mm-hmm. He's going to be doing Mistborn, Era 3, Book 1, Elantris 2, Book 2, Elantris 3, and then Book 3. And then that's going to be his writing schedule after he does Stormlight 5.
I think she is still just Shy.
It is Shy.
She refers to herself as Shy, pronounced as in Ionic. I'm not really sure what that means.
So the Aeonic pronunciations, the vowels are pronounced separately. You don't have any
Gotcha.
like two vowels making one sound, which
So I kind of did
brain
it.
is blanking on.
I kind of did it right without even knowing it when I
Yeah.
said Shai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So she draws the symbol, but she doesn't draw the normal symbol. She draws it as if it was adapted for Scadrial, right?
She doesn't draw Aeon Rao.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, is the base one.
That.
Which, holy cow, I'm impressed I remember that.
She uses the map that she drew of Scadrial as her base Aeon. that then translates into the different aeons.
I can understand why
That's
you would need to do that. I guess, are we questioning, like, how did she get there? If she
yeah,
even, doesn't realize that she was doing it.
yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was really interesting, that it was like she didn't process that this is what was happening until like Marasi was like, "You just drew a map on the ground," and she's like, "Oh, hmm, look at that, I did."
Like it's very cool, and I'm very excited to see how it works. But there is a very good question. Brandon has been very careful to limit this magic system to Cell because of how versatile it can be. And it's not like plugging it into the devotion battery is just going to allow it to be
Mhm,
used. There is a definite connection breaching problem there,
mhm.
as well as
So,
the physical location.
yeah, I guess my question is, what are the implications
Hmm.
for the greater Cosmere? Well, now that we know that we there is a way to access Elantrian magic outside, and there's a way to make it so that your soul thinks that it was born in Elantris, and to turn yourself into an Elantrian with
Gosh, that's
the
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 kicker.
right
I
stamp.
think the soul stamping is that's probably a very one in a lifetime gonna be used. Like I doubt we'll see any people become Elantrians like that unless
But
somebody figures out how to
anyone
upgrade
on
their
Cell,
stamps.
anyone on Cell can do it.
Yeah, anybody on Cell could do it, and it would probably be easier for those on Cell. Because it's rewriting your history to make it to
Mhm.
a point in which kind of how did an Elantrian end up on Scadrial in that? Who knows? Who knows what things she contrived for that?
And that could have to do with the unconscious mapping of Luthadel, right? Or Elendel.
Or why she had no idea where she was or whatever. But it's like, wouldn't the stamp undo a bit if it didn't have all that information?
So that's why
Because it's like a wound healing.
I'm assuming that worked into that stamp had to be somewhere that she was an Elantrian who moved to Scadrial. Because otherwise it just wouldn't work, right?
Mhm.
Unless
Maybe
this purified
not
door.
Scadrial, but like
Right.
maybe not like Scadrial, but like any shard world, and maybe it's like I went with this group and they took me to this place,
Or
and it
maybe like
was
17th Shard would probably have maps of every planet. And if you spent some time there or convinced your soul that you spent some time there, you'd probably be able to pull on pull on those maps from memory, kind of like a Shallan would do.
excuse me, possibly.
I don't know.
Hmm.
But the implications of being able to take Cell's magic and put it anywhere are kind of terrifying
Hmm.
because we don't really know too many people from Elantris, right? Like, who from Elantris is running around in the greater Cosmere right now that we know about?
We
Uh,
knew
Galadon.
Galadon in the 17th shard. We've got Moonlight. We've got nicknames are stupid. Um, we had the Irie. Um, I want to say I thought there was like one or two on Roshar, but that could just be the fact that there's everything on Roshar right now.
Right.
And I don't think there are any confirmed Elantrians on Roshar besides Galadon.
Hmm.
Which was
But
he was only briefly there. They were looking for Hoyd, right?
Well, they
mhm,
are looking for Hoyd, so they could easily still be on Roshar looking for Hoyd.
mhm. He sent them on a wild goose chase.
if if Kelsier has access to Purified Door, what does he still need Stormlight for?
That was my question as well. I'm guessing it's because it is difficult to purify the door, and it is hard to get a lot of it.
I would say it's more
Um,
so it's difficult to get the door.
mhm.
Like I don't know, we don't know anything about the purifying thing. But
Right.
I would say just like knowing what we know about Cell, it's very difficult to get that. That's probably why we haven't seen too many world hoppers from there outside of those three we mentioned.
Now
Plus
I'm
Hoid.
trying to think of how you would make purified door. Are there any theories for that?
How do you purify investiture?
Because usually it purifies itself. It'll collect in like a pool, right?
Yeah, but the problem with the door is that when Odium shattered um um
Devotion.
Devotion and Dominion, he took all of their power out of the spiritual realm and shoved it into the cognitive realm.
Mm,
Whoa.
Yeah, which is why it's so dangerous to travel to sell through the cognitive realm because of that. There's all that power there, and why when they use aeons it seems to like wanting to like push through that power wants to push through.
Because it's like
mm,
almost bleeding out. It's like
Hmm.
bursting.
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, if you went to Shadesmar on Cell, you would probably have a bad time.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's actually a lot of there's like it's a investiture black hole due to just the amount of mass that it would have to have.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So the part of the question is, how did they get off of Cell?
Hoid, same way he did. Who knows?
But how did he do it?
Mm,
I've always
he's
kind of
Hoid.
wondered that. Uh, does anyone know how Hoyd travels from planet to planet? I think we probably assume it's through Shadesmar, but does anyone know?
It's through
I
the
think
cognitive realm.
I assume it's through the cognitive realm because of what we see in Secret History, where
Do you mean the spiritual realm?
he
No, the cognitive.
the
Oh,
cognitive realm.
Nobody's ever really been to the spiritual because it's
You cannot go to the spiritual realm, I don't think.
no.
oh,
Well,
I
you could, but it's very like it's like the God place where everything exists in one moment, yet nothing exists. This where all magic is, or all connection is, where it's like the Deus Ex Machina realm.
so in Secret History um when Kelsier is like in his afterlife and he refuses to move on, is he refusing to move on to the spiritual realm?
The Beyond's a different thing that Brandon is avoiding talking to because he doesn't want to disprove any characters in World's belief of the afterlife with what it actually is.
Okay. So
There's the three realms, and then there's the Beyond.
where was he when it was like a world of smoke and he could see all the blue lines?
The cognitive
Cognitive.
realm
That was
is in
cognitive?
Shades. That's Shadesmar. Yes,
Mhm.
that is the version of Shadesmar that
Gadro.
is on Scadrial. So
Oh.
that is why. So because Kelsier was a cognitive shadow and didn't have an actual body, he could walk through the mist.
That's
Um,
crazy.
on the ground. If he had an actual body, he wouldn't be able to do that. That's why Hoyd, when he was going through it, was like riding on
A dead body
a dead
question.
body question mark? I don't know. But he like made himself like a boat or whatever. Because he couldn't touch the ground because he would just fall straight through because he had a physical form.
Gotcha.
Speaking of our favorite psychopath, that end, I was so excited when he's like, I'm gonna need to have a talk with Says. I'm like, yes, yes, please, show me that. I
Yes.
need that. And then they do, and I was like, yes. And we finally like, he doesn't have allomancy?
I know, right? And he really
And
That
wants
was
it and he misses
this
it.
is something this is something that someone brought up at the convention at one point where they said where they one of the panelists like made a comment about how Kelsier doesn't have allomancy anymore, and everyone was like, "Wait, what?"
It's one of those people who reads the last pages of the book just to be in front of everybody else.
I don't well, I didn't. I was just like, and they were like, "Yeah, it makes sense because he's a cognitive shadow, like, he doesn't have any the investiture was connected to his physical body. Because he doesn't have that same physical body anymore, he doesn't have that connection to the investiture."
Like maybe yes, but isn't it also that is his body? At least
But
that's
it's
what I.
but it's not.
It's not the same
It's
body.
not the
I thought it was the
same.
same body. I thought that was what was implied. Is that his original body, a
No.
nail, a
His
spike
no.
stapled through with
His
his.
his his original body was dissolved in the Chondra's stomach when Orsur ate him.
Well,
His
no, it's
original
his original
body doesn't
bones.
exist.
It's his bones, though. You think that would have
Well, his
But
bones might
you
still
wouldn't
be
be
around,
able
but not his
but
his
body.
you wouldn't be
bones.
able to staple his soul to the bones without there being any like physical like skin and blood. That wouldn't work with a hemalurgic spike because a hemalurgic spike needs blood.
There was John's theory that they could feed Kelsier's bones to a mist wraith and then staple his cognitive shadow to that.
Yeah.
I
Can
think
somebody
you still
check what
have the
the end?
same problem because a Mistwraith doesn't have blood.
Can
Hmm.
somebody check
But
the ending where they talk about it? Because I'm pretty sure he said he's stapled to his bones, and he says it like his body.
We can check. We can check.
I don't think so. But I can look.
I don't have my book anymore. It's in the suitcase, and that's being held together by duct tape.
Another thing with him is that I guess Sazed said if he had Leracium, he still wouldn't become a Mistborn. It wouldn't work for him.
Did he say that?
Yes, he did.
Hmm, that's
Leracium,
intriguing.
Kelsier asked? I'm sorry, that is all annihilated in the explosion. We've tested it several times now. Damn, another dead end. It wouldn't work on you anyways, Sazed said. Not in your current state. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I guess that makes sense considering what Kelsier's weird thing is. But also, what if Sazed is just lying?
I could kind of see that. Based on how this ends,
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see that. Because
Like that
Sazed,
whole thing was a lie up to that point.
Kelsier's like asks him, have I ever lied? Or are you lying? And he
So
says, have
said,
I ever lied to you, old friend? But he doesn't say no.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm worried if that's Sazed or that's Discord.
Should we? We're gonna have to talk about that. I think that's gonna be its own
Mm-hmm.
whole topic. Discord.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, that's what we're using right now.
Oh yeah, it's that's the ultimate foreshadowing right there.
Oh my gosh.
It's right in front of us.
The whole time.
I mean, speaking
Oh,
along that line, it
also,
does mention that in the Final Empire Discord, but
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes,
His
I
name
remember
shall be
that.
Discord.
yet they shall love him
Oh
for it.
no.
Yeah. Um,
No.
question. That was mentioned. This is something that was mentioned in that when Kelsier is talking to Sazed, and he's like, "There's potential allies out there, Moonlight's world, perhaps, or the land of the Aethers. Hell, maybe even Mythos. What is Mythos?
Beats
No
me.
idea.
Is that where 17th Shard is? I have no idea.
Is that where the 17th shard is?
That was a
Is that
random guess.
it? Might be. I don't know.
Maybe that's where Silverlight is.
Is that where Silverlight is? I thought Silverlight was in the cognitive realm.
Yeah, but we know that the cognitive realms have their own
I meant to say
country
Silverlight.
names.
When I said 17th Shard, I meant Silverlight. That was a mistake on my part.
Mythos sounds very Yolen like, to be honest, though. But I don't think we're supposed to have any
But
connection to Yolen.
But it says we need a way. He says we need a way to reach them, and then Caesar suggests Shadesmar, and Kelsier says it's unreliable. So that leads me to believe that Mythos is another planet somewhere.
True, but they also say the land of Aethers, and we know that Aethers are not stuck
But
to one planet.
there is a place where they come from,
That's true.
their original planet, and a place where they live.
This is so
So
terrifying.
it's technically, well, I don't think he's referring to the Aether planet, right? Because he would have just mentioned Twin Soul's planet, or
Yeah,
probably would have connected it to Twin Soul, right?
and he says the land of the Aethers, and then references hell, maybe even Mythos.
Mm. There was also, I think, at the very beginning, they mentioned a planet or a place with a B name that I did not recognize. I'll have it when I read through it again. But it was like I've never seen that one before.
Oh, what was this? When did they mention that?
Uh, I think it was probably when uh, character names are escaping me right now. Time Bubble Girl meets Moonlight. They mention like a planet with a B or a place with it starts with a B. I thought that could be. I could just have dreamt the whole thing up at this point.
And it's not Bilming.
I don't think it was Belming. I don't think it was
It
Belming.
beats me. The only thing I can think of is Brazium or Braze. I mean, and I doubt she'd be talking about that planet.
No, I just I remember it. When I read through, I'll make a note of it
I could try
because
to
I
flip
wanted
back
to
to
instantly. I wanted to look it up, but I was like, no,
it.
that would be cheating. Uh.
There was one
Turning the
thing in
car into
that.
oncoming traffic is counterproductive.
If we're still talking about this Kelsier epilogue, there's one line in here that really excited me, and it was, "Is there any way to expand our access to Metalborn? They have the seed inside them, don't they? The heart of preservation." This language here really reminds me of that phrase in Stormlight Archives, "Honor lives on in the hearts of men." And I know some people have been talking about, is that a more literal phrase than we're giving it credit? And this line right here just makes me feel like, oh, the heart of preservation, like the heart of men, like there's something to this.
I'm very excited to see what happens between Era 2 and Era 3. At one point, I was fully expecting there to not be a bomb in the thing. I was expecting it to be a Lerasium aerosol releasement method. And then
Oh
that was going to
my.
be the plot twist that they released Lerasium to the world. And that's how we get our Era 3 psychopath Mistborn.
Because when everyone's super, no one
That
is.
was basically what I was thinking.
Wow.
That their whole plan was to turn everybody into a full Mistborn.
Which would be to combat Trell? Or just.
Well, it was trouble. It was just like my mind when it's like I'm not working with everything and I'll ignore certain things because I'm trying to predict Brandon's craziness. So I'm like, wait a second, what if they aren't actually planning to blow it up? What if it's all a trick and they're trying to release Lerasium so everybody can be a Mistborn? Because we're also working with, and we know Mistborn come back in the future somehow.
Maybe Wax has
there are.
another. Oh, you can go ahead, Kay.
I would say there are still Mistborn. They're just very rare.
That hasn't been a full Mistborn since probably Lord Mistborn's kids. Like I would guess.
Yeah,
Maybe like a 3 or 4 generations down.
but there still could be a Mistborn.
Yeah.
And I think as Swiggity was about to say about Wax, that if Wax has another kid, that kid could easily be a Mistborn because of the fact that Wax swallowed some of the Lerasium.
Yeah, it's implied he's like slowly becoming a Mistborn, or he has like Mistborn.
He's
Yeah.
like a very weak full Mistborn.
During yeah,
tendencies. I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah.
during the explosion where he got the second explosion that he got hit with, in his lab, some of the Lerasium, like, he swallowed it, and I
It
guess he
was a gas.
instinctively
It was a
yeah,
gas, and he breathed it in.
breathed it in, and he instinctively burned it even because it's metal and his body is used to doing that.
I'm
Um,
so ticked. I'm the one who asked Brandon on one of his live streams, does a metal need to be swallowed in order to be burned? He's like, no, and I even asked like, is it possible like I don't know, snort a line of pewter? I think that was what I said. He's like, yeah, that is possible as long as it's like inside of you. I'm like, and
Oh,
then I completely forgot about that.
and then we see it happening in Era 2. That's awesome.
I want to know what Saza just said that they've had a lot of tests with Larassian. Or was he lying about all of that? But like, what is he doing with all that Larassian then?
Oh, can I just say,
there's
um, on our epilogue episode of the Final Empire, I had read this book entirely, and you guys were talking about, well, what if you could split harmonium into lerasium and atium? And it was just so hard to not say anything.
Well, that was a thing Brandon had said for a while. We just didn't know you needed
trellium.
Bavadidium.
Yeah,
Mm.
Bovididium, yeah.
I love that so much.
But yeah.
I'm very excited. What happened with the bands of mourning?
Yeah.
This was a setup. Had to be a setup, right?
That was part of my thing of we didn't get much of anything for the southern Scadrians. Yeah, we
Yeah,
had
there's
that.
I agree, Swiggity. It's gotta be a setup. It's gotta be a setup.
But how would they
I
have
thought that
drained
guy
the
was working for
bands?
Trell.
Like,
I thought that guy was working for Trell.
oh, really? The
Well, yeah, because
ambassador?
I thought everything was going to be connected. I didn't think, no, this is just a random thing to build up to Era 3.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Like, especially at the beginning part of this book, as it was reaching the end stages, I kind of resigned myself to thinking, okay, this Southern schedule stuff is going to be more important in the future, I guess. But I was right there with you. Like, especially after Bands of Mourning, I was really excited to learn about the Southern schedules, and it seems like we learned more in that conversation or description of a conversation with Alec in Bands of Mourning than we do in this whole book, which is kind of disappointing. But
Hmm.
it just wasn't the focus this time around, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so weird that we were all expecting a Southern Scadrian book and got none of it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be Era 3.
Yeah.
Also, with Era 3, I think this is a prediction that I want to have that I like, is that Marasi is going to become the governor, and I think that she is going to change the governmental structure of the Elendil Basin to include the mayors of the the outside towns in the government as well,
Mhm.
continuing the democracy, but
I really hope
making
so.
so that those voices are actually heard, because that's something that I could see her doing.
I would very much like that, but I do want there to like not be a perfect fix. I want there still to be issues. I want like maybe she tried.
It's not gonna be a perfect fix. Like there will
No, no,
still be issues.
no. I know there will be issues and there will be issues within the system. I want to see that the system was not yet fully done or not yet completed. Like she was working towards it and then like I don't know, had a heart attack. But like I don't want her to be like, oh, she did everything she set out to be.
Like, it would be a little unrealistic.
Well, I
Yeah,
know that she's not going to settle the tensions between the
that's
southern,
true.
like that's something that we know that she's not gonna be able to do. She's not gonna be able
Or
to
at least all the way.
calm those relations all the way. Like that's still gonna be a big part of the next
Well, because we
When we
essentially have
year.
nukes now. Like, this is going to be Cold War era
Yeah.
in a very
Mhm.
literal way.
Well, that's what era it is. It's the 80s.
I kept wondering where the heck did they keep getting Bavadidium from? And like how are we gonna continue to get that?
That's a great question. We never
Like
got that explored.
like I think at the end of Bands we had like two spikes of it. We had the one from Bleeder, we had one from the guy in the first book. I
Well, they
can't remember his
Oh,
name.
Miles 100 Lives? Is that who you're talking about?
Miles. Yeah. He had one and I think that was it. We had those two spikes. And then in this we've just got here's wax, here's another one that you can test with. Yay.
does
And like
the
how are we gonna continue to get more of those to do our fun
Well,
experience?
we know that um autonomy is going to continue to come after Scadrial
Hmm.
because it's the only planet that's scientifically close to um
Yolin.
no to her planet, to
Oh,
Taldane.
that's true. Because of
Um
the radio.
yeah.
I'm still trying to work out how they might have gotten Bavadinium on Scadrial, and is there a perpendicularity in that community underground?
There
That's, I believe, what their power was doing. So,
It was
sh-
creating a perpendicularity, but it
yeah.
hadn't been created yet.
So you probably
Mhm.
couldn't
The
pass an object
investiture
through it.
was
But nothing could go through it yet because
maybe no
otherwise,
person, but maybe like metal could or packages or something.
well, and there's got to be Sacred has got to have a perpendicularity
That's
somewhere.
where my mind went at the beginning of the book when he's like, "Wait, I'm sending when oh, what's her name? I can't remember her names anymore."
Malon.
The yeah, when Malon's like, "I'm gonna be going out," and that's when I knew that Wayne wasn't gonna survive this book. But I'm like, wait a second, I had never realized where's Sazed's perpendicularity. That's
Oh,
kind of important.
so last time, speaking of Malon, last time we talked about how um whether or not she was the first Khandra to be sent out by Sazed to other worlds. And I originally said, I was like, no, that's not it, because he said that there's a Khandra on Roshar that's working for Sazed. There's another word of Brandon where he has reneged that, where the Khandra, he accidentally said the wrong thing, and that the Khandra on Roshar is not working for Harmony, is
Like
not working
Hmm.
for Sazed.
I was gonna say we knew about the Conjure. I didn't think we knew its allegiance.
Yeah, I think someone had asked him the allegiance.
Hmm.
Who else
Um,
could a conjure be allied to?
that's a great question.
True, at least in this one.
So
Question is, are there Khandra on other Shard worlds, or are they stealing ones from this,
there could be a
from
Bavadinium
Scadrial?
spiked conjure on
They
Roshar.
they would have to be they would have to be taking them they would have to be taking at least a mist wraith from Scadrial and turning it into a Khandra at the
Hmm.
very least. If not, having a Khandra from Scadrial join them. It's like,
Hmm.
Could a conjure turn into a Rashadium?
Yes.
yes,
That
but
that
I
would be the
think that it
ultimate
wouldn't.
spy.
Great. Now I'm
But
on the lookout for all the Rashadium.
Because they always
I
talk
Red
about them
think
seeming
eyes.
like they're
Red
so
eyes.
intelligent.
I
Hmm.
think it would still be. I think there would be something off about the Rashadium because the Rashadiums they've got something going on.
Right?
Hmm.
There's
They're invested.
They are invested. So the Khandra wouldn't be able to be invested as a Rashadium.
No, but it could look like one, though.
But it could look like one, but it's the same way where, like, a Condor could look like Kelsier, but
Mhm.
he wouldn't be able to do the things that Kelsier can do.
Well, they can't do anything right now. Your argument falls apart. Ha!
They can still manipulate people.
Mhm.
Hey, look who it is.
And joining us now, we've got
Hey!
John, our very special guest.
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize. My life is in complete disarray right now.
We
Welcome to the holidays,
completely
I guess.
understand. We completely understand. We would rather you spend time with your girlfriend than with four randoms on the internet.
I spend lots of time with my girlfriend, and the only downside to her is that she does, despite me literally buying copies of multiple Sanderson books, is not Cosmere aware yet.
Dang it.
I've even offered to read them aloud to her. She's like, "That's weird," and I'm like, "It's romantic," and she's like, "No."
I love the hope.
I've offered to do that as well in the past.
See, you get it, reader. You could be my girlfriend.
We have talked about Cell in a slight thing. We talked about Kelsier a bit. And recently we were just on the topic of how did Bodidium get to schedule. One of the things I wanted to say last time that I couldn't is I wanted to bring up the parallel between Wayne saying like, "Hey, I know you," and when Vin did it in Final Empire.
Yeah, that's
I really
awesome.
love that.
Hmm.
Like we had just finished reading that, and then we get the Lost Metal, and he's like, "Hey, I know you. You're the coal miner, and you're the yada yada."
There's a
I know
couple.
this.
There's a couple Final Empire callbacks in this book that I really appreciated because we just went through it, like the strangling the monster from the inside out, and that conversation in the epilogue with Kelsier and Sazed reminded me of that conversation at the end of Final Empire that I said was my favorite part. Like, so much cool stuff calling back to the Final Empire in this book.
I love when Wax is like, "Never again. You have no idea how this feels," and he gets in his mind the image of Sazed at the broken gates, like holding uh,
Tindwell.
Tindawil, surrounded by bodies.
At
I
the
love that
Battle of
so much.
Luthadel.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So, John, is there anything you would like to speculate or comment upon? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's only partially formed because I only just had it about 3.5 seconds ago, but all of a sudden, what if the hero of ages is actually the villain of the Cosmere?
Ooh, I love that.
Ooh.
Right? Like you guys were talking about how, maybe Discord is slipping in, or, Harmony is moving towards Discord, and what if he takes over and becomes the big bad of the whole Cosmere? Like,
That would be really cool.
that
I was
bears.
wondering if at the end of like Era 3, maybe Sazed leaves. Like it like I don't know if you guys have read the Deceased comic books,
No.
but at one point it's basically zombies meet DC Comics. At one point Superman is turning and he literally flies away to try to like save everybody from him. And he flies himself into the sun.
Oh, wow.
Like I'm wondering if Sazed, like knowing that what's gonna happen to him, literally like leaves.
So I guess
And that could
we're talking about this now.
Yeah, I guess we're talking about that. And that's why they're doing space exploration. They're trying to find out what happened to their hero.
No, they're trying to do space exploration because Kelsier wants to find an easier way to travel between planets. He straight up said that.
So the whole reason this entire thing happens just because one ghost wants easy export.
Yeah.
I honestly think that uh, it's not Sazed who's changing and not himself. I think it's Kelsier sliding into the dark side. Like his soul is falling apart. It's barely held together. Literally attached to his own bones in a mist wraith. I maintain that that's the truth. We don't know for certain, but we've got hints that support it now. So like I'm like, yes, that's it. I think it's Kelsier sliding towards Thydakar. I think he's gonna have that rise, Lord Vader moment. I think that's coming.
I can totally
It may
see
not
that.
happen on screen.
But what is
Maybe
But
it already happened. Sorry.
How does that relate
Swiggity.
to the Discord issue, I guess? Like, how does
Oh,
Kelsier...
it's just opposite ends of the theoretical spectrum, really. They're
Bad guy.
right.
Oh, I gotcha. Like, maybe instead of Discord being the big bad guy, it's our boy.
Right, yeah.
Got it.
Maybe we've already seen the Thydakar thing, because we know that Stormlight 1 through 5 takes place before this. Maybe Shallan snaps him out of the Thydakar, and this is like his penance, like he focused more on Scadrial or something. He took like a step back to reevaluate. That doesn't sound like Kelsier very much, though. So who
It
knows?
also
No.
doesn't feel like a good fit to me.
Mm.
And it also doesn't
Um,
sound like Shallan.
You don't think Shallan would look at the guy with so many problems and be like, yeah, no,
No, I think
you
that's
need to
Lift. I
stop.
think that's Lift's job.
That is true.
Yeah.
I want to see Lift beat Kelsier now. She's like, you want pancakes? He's like, yes.
Yes, please.
Now
Oh my
that's the
gosh.
daughter he never had, right there.
That is what he's basically looking for, though, it feels like, because he's approaching Mercy, and he's got Moonlight on his team, and Shallan. I feel like he is just always looking for that, like, young girl, like, to train and become the new Vin.
He's slowly building a cross Cosmere harem.
It is an anime.
Oh, God.
Add that to the anime nosebleed counter.
I wanted to say, like, sorry.
I say he's also got code names are stupid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just the ones we know about.
Kaisa? Is that her name? Something like that?
No,
Kais.
Kais. There we go.
At least that's how they pronounce it in the graphic audio book.
Yes. Because in Elantrian, it's all of the vowels are separate.
Yeah.
Right.
Aeonic.
Shoot, what was I going to say? I just had an idea. What if Discord is like, we know that Harmony is like complete peace. Discord is like, granted, I'm taking this most from Discord from MLP, but like, what if he starts like ripping people from the beyond, and like we got zombies now?
I don't think he can.
I don't think you can.
He can't touch the spiritual realm, or at least
He can't touch the beyond.
we don't see shards interacting with the spiritual realm yet.
No.
There's a difference between the beyond and the spiritual realm. They're two different places.
The impression I'm under is that the beyond is sort of like a part of the spiritual realm. But we know squat about the spiritual realm, except that everything is everywhere and whatever. It's
And the shards.
It's the great mashed potatoes of the Cosmere.
And the shard's power is mostly in the spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm. But how cool would it be to see like zombie Vin and Ellen? Like, I just want to see Vin and Ellen come back. Imagine Vin and Ellen coming back and just like wrecking.
I don't think I'd keep reading.
No,
I don't.
Oh, come on! We now have a character to do it. Somebody make an Era 3 fanfiction right now, where it's basically Discord has started to go insane, and so now they brought zombies back, in which you have Wayne showing back up. Yeah,
I wouldn't like that. I don't think it's a good.
You wouldn't.
Oh, I don't think it will fit in the Cosmere, but imagine.
Even if you could do that, Wayne wouldn't have a physical body. His remains are vaporized. Like,
true.
They'd have to like pull the constituent atoms out of the atmosphere or wherever they settled and reassemble.
Sazek could create him a new body. Discord could create him a new body.
Could. Won't.
He's insane. Who knows?
You know, this kind of reminded me of something. This is actually really off topic, but like, isn't there a part of this book where Kelsey is talking about if you're good enough steel pushing, you can affect the individual axes, which are basically like the atoms of this universe?
Yes.
Yes.
I do remember them saying that.
So could you, like, chemically engineer any element you want? that way? Could you make gleracium or atium using?
No, you would make
No.
compounds that way, not. What you're talking about is doing fusion
Mm.
versus a chemical reaction to create a new compound, which is closer to what manipulating Axie would be.
There's in one of my fanfics, which is My Hero Academia, there's this character named Momo who basically, if she knows the chemical makeup, can create it. And I've been like trying to figure out, wait, could she create like god metals if she knew their chemical makeup? And then
From
there's
what
the
I can tell, no. You cannot create god metals, even if you know their chemical. You can't, because you can't know their chemical makeup. There is no equivalency based on, because like Wax was testing the different god metals and stuff, and he was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like this
Yeah,
isn't something that you can measure.
the thing
yeah, but
about the
that's in world. And we also know that people have been wrong before.
so the thing with the god metals is, if you're, oh god, this is going so far off the deep end of.
This is
Anyway,
not where we're supposed to be talking.
the thing with the god metals is they are not elements as we know them, right? They can't be, because otherwise they'd have to fall on the periodic table and they wouldn't be able to make a god metal like a certain group of elements, like Harmony did. So,
Right, I get it, because
he
like
made his to act like an alkali, right? So you can't just make a god metal because it's not necessarily composed of protons and neutrons and gluons and whatever.
it's like literally the
Um,
magic. Like
right, it's condensed, solidified magic. It doesn't have a chemical composition, or at least I don't think so.
Okay, but let's. Kay, do you have anything you would like to share? Okay, let's try to get a little bit back. I'm going to try to refer to Kay because I interrupt her quite a bit on accident. I'm sorry. Let's try to get back on track. John, we want to know what your reactions were. The people we had to be all hush hush around you
I
last
know
time.
you guys did so good too. I was blindsided when I read it. It's so good. I was working alone that day, or people would have thought I was insane. I wept twice for Wayne at work. It was a sad day, and I will always shake an extra time in his honor. And I thought it was awesome that they made different hats for the statue.
I
Come on,
also
man.
love
Oh,
that Steris kept a notebook of different Wayne quotes
right?
Mm-hmm.
to use at different points in time.
Oh, I really hoped in Era 3, like, archaeologists are finding, what does this mean? Who knows? It's just the booklet of all of his favorite swear words.
In Era 3, Wayneisms are like real world Confuciusisms.
I was just thinking that. Plus, he invented
Oh, it's too
sports.
He invented sports.
He invented
Single-handedly funded.
organized sports.
Yeah.
I saw someone
I feel
online
like
say
Brandon.
that that girl in the epilogue, who he was paying the money to, I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets a lot of his money, right? And
She gets like all of his money.
Well,
Yeah.
almost all of it.
Almost all of it, yeah.
well, somebody online said like, "Oh, she's gonna get all the money, and she might even get the rights to Wayne, because it said like he sold his rights, and maybe because she had like an art studio that didn't work out, she or maybe her daughter is gonna be the one who draws the Wax and Wayne comics in Era 3."
Oh, that would be so cute.
Right?
Okay,
Aw.
that's cool. That's a cool idea, and I like that. And if that happened, it would actually make her epilogue make sense and fit. Because as it is right now, I felt that it was kind of random and misplaced. It didn't fit. Like,
I gotta
and
disagree with you there.
6 years ago, she was going to school in college. That's all we knew about her. Now she's a wreck with a daughter and drawing with toothpaste on the wall. Sounds like she should be in a nut house. Like, I don't. This it was so out of place and so kind of random. I hated that epilogue. I really did. I did not like it.
I gotta disagree with you on that because
And
we
and you're
know.
welcome to, you know.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but you are.
I mean, fair enough.
I'm joking, but like, yeah, I could definitely say like, okay, it's still a bit of what people were worried about, and it might not fit for anybody. But this was the girl who Wayne made an orphan. Like he's now trying to help her, and now that she probably fell out of school because like she didn't want to take his money, probably just gave it away, and she has a kid. Maybe something happens either on the darker side or on the less darker side. But like now he's gone. He's given you everything. And maybe not her doing it, but maybe her daughter with toothpaste drawings on the walls. Maybe she's the one like, here's the person who helped my family. And she wrote those.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I totally agree that it belongs there and that she should have an epilogue, especially if it does tie in. I just feel like it was,
I feel like it was a little
I don't
tacked
know, it
on.
was jarring. It was jarring, is what it was.
I kind of like it because Wayne put himself through so much to pay that money to her, and then for it to just be like, oh, this thing that you've been doing is actually hurting her, which I did like that theme. I like that he recognized that and that he corrected his actions. It just felt like I thought it was kind of sweet that he was doing that, and I'm glad that in the end there was a real meaningful outcome for all of that, and that maybe he never made up for what he did in the past, but
And I
it
don't want him to, at least with her.
he
Yeah.
it meant something. It actually did have an impact on her life, like a real impact on her life. And I like that because he was hurting her by giving her that money, but it wasn't his intention. He always just wanted to make up for what he did, and I think in the end he kind of got to do that. I really enjoy that.
Mhm. I feel like Brandon took one look at everybody complaining about Tolkien having like 8 endings for Lord of the Rings and was like, ha! I can beat that.
There are
But
so many epilogues.
it was so good though. I was so happy to see that. Epilogue 1. Oh my gosh, yes. So we don't have like everybody shoved into one thing where we try to wrap everything up. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, and
But
then as they
I
come,
did
you
not
just
really.
like every new epilogue, you're like more and more excited.
I did not cry when Wayne died.
Really?
Because no, I did not. He was my favorite character. I will say he was my favorite character, but I already knew the fact like he was in a relationship with Melon. Like this could not go well. Like I had said, like maybe he becomes a Khandra, or the other thing was they break up. He's got to die now. So when they broke up, I was like, sorry, Wayne. I know what this means, and especially with like the prologue being his and like him throughout the story being like, I need to be dead. Like I was like, this is like journey before destination, but I knew the destination. And maybe on a reread, I'll cry. That has happened to me a lot before, is that redoing it has brought the emotion the first time. Sorry. I loved his final words, but
I also did not cry, but I never cry at books, so
you haven't read Flowers for Now, you're not.
I have not, and I have no intention of it. So
Were you at least sad though?
I was sad. I was sad, but I was also expecting it because he was happy. He had kind of reached the end of his like journey. He had accepted things within him about himself. Like finally accepting like the with Alriandre, like that he was hurting her and that he needed to make that change. He was making those changes. He had made those changes within himself that he needed to. So I was yeah, I was kind of expecting it. I knew that someone was going to die in this book. I knew that someone was gonna die.
That was kind of why I freaked out at the beginning. It was like Wayne Wax grabbed his kid's drawings. I'm like, oh no. And then his other child jumps up onto his arms. Oh no. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
Well, we
and I
know
thought it
Wax is
was
making it out.
I
I
thought
was
it
not
was
so
very
sure.
sweet. I thought it was very sweet that Wayne protected Wax at the end.
When he pushes him away. Which, oh
Pushes him
my
away.
gosh, how cool was it that they both got spikes at the end?
That was
Yeah.
I'm so that's one of those things where it's like, wait, why didn't we think of this before?
Right?
Like one of the main faults of hemalurgy is that harmony can control you. We've got God on our backs. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And well, the thing about it is it's only a certain number of it's you have to have a certain number of spikes before Harmony can
Yeah,
control you. Oh,
but like
Yeah, it was really cool.
we were talking we were talking last time about like characters that are going to make it to era 3, I think. And we were trying very hard not to reveal anything. Like I thought we were saying that Marasi would be in era 3 because she's got I don't remember who it was, but we were trying very hard not to give anything away, but we were still talking about it. But like, are we gonna see any of these characters there? Because I
I
don't think
think
we're gonna see Wax, even though this seems to be building up to something with him.
no, I don't think we're gonna see Wax or Steris. We might see his kids in Era 3,
I agree with that.
but I don't think we're gonna see Wax and Steris. Um, I I'm not sure about Marasi, whether we're gonna see her or not. I could see it going either way. We will definitely hear about Marasi.
Um,
Yeah.
you know what we're
And
gonna see?
Alik.
You know what we're gonna see? We're gonna see, because this is gonna be like the '80s, right? We're gonna see Don Shot everything. You're gonna have Don Shot
Merch.
merch everywhere. Yes, that is how we're going to keep Wax alive in Era 3.
That'd be so funny.
But do you think with Wayne's sacrifice, do you think Wayne is gonna be the really popular one?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, geez. Okay, you might actually be right there.
So it's no
Hmm.
longer Wax and Wayne, it's Wayne and Wax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that so much. Because in the end, he becomes the hero.
Hmm. Like, like seeing Marasi, that would be cool. Like maybe she's been using her time bubbles. She's near immortal if she wanted to be. Oh,
Yeah.
she becomes a savant. What if she becomes a savant?
And then gets a derailment spike.
I don't want to. Maybe that would be cool.
That's how
Like,
she skips era 3 and goes straight to era 4.
that was one. That's one of my favorite like mental things. Like if I could do a project on schedule, it would literally just be like get a Mistborn, give them a bunch of cadmium and duralumin, and just like keep going. How far can you make it?
What about what if we see Marcy and Alex like son or daughter in Era 3?
Oh
I'd like to
yeah.
see that.
I would guess that. Yeah.
And that would be the perfect character to kind of try to bridge the gap between the Southern Scadrians and the people from the basin.
Yeah,
Maybe they're the current governor.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
think that
nice.
that will definitely I think that they will that whoever like their kid will definitely be a big part of that conflict because they are a kid of both. They will be a child of both nations.
Mhm.
And they'll
Who
be an
knows? Maybe
absolute
something
sweetheart
happens. They
too.
get assassinated before they get a kid.
No.
I'm sorry. But
No.
like, it's so weird that we're getting like I think you said a 40-year time skip. I think that's what
80.
it
Is it
80?
50? Oh no, it's 50 years. It's 50 years, I
50
think.
years. But
Ish.
that's like we knew like with the 300 from Era 1 to Era 2, we're not going to see any characters really except for
Hmm.
the immortal ones. But like 50 years, that's not too much. And we could very well see Marasi with her bubbling, therefore also with what's his face. We could see their kid. We could see Maximilian. We could see his sister. But
Tindwell.
also like Tindwyl, sorry. I keep forgetting her name.
I just
Even
like that
though
they named her that. I think that's or Brandon named her that.
I
That's
doubt
awesome.
we'll see her because it'll get too confusing between the two different Tindwyls.
I
Maximum,
don't think it
maybe?
would be. I don't think it would be confusing.
Okay. Maybe she just goes by Tindy. But maybe
Swiggy
she.
Pup Collection.
I just don't think we'll see. I don't think they'll be as important as we want them to be because we can't have it be a descendant story.
Well, and
Yeah.
even if it was, theoretically, those kids would be 50 plus years old already, beyond
Yeah.
the age of adventure for a
Mhm.
typical human.
But we got to consider that they would probably be the least important of the offspring, because if Wax has a third child, it's most likely going to be a Mistborn.
What if he's the psychopath?
Go
Oh
figure.
no.
Because Wax is now a
Mm.
full Mistborn, albeit a very weak one. But if he has a kid, then it's likely that they could become a Mistborn, or will they be too weak that maybe it'll break apart immediately into the and just increase the latent Alamisi singular.
It could go either way, but I like to
Unless
believe that that was what they were setting up.
Wax figures out what he did and actually does manage to isolate Lerasium again. Which
I
what if by separating the bodies of Lerasium and Atium, what if separating those bodies is what's causing
Discord?
Yeah, I just saw him. Yeah. What happens if that separation is what's causing Harmony to become Discord, and then
Oh
people figure out how to
no.
do it and start doing it en masse?
I don't think it's specifically breaking Harmonium. It might be ambition, like forced it. Like we know that he's always been a little bit more preservation-y than Ruin, even though he claims to be Harmony. But like, what if ambition, and we know that her physical sense is like splitting, like maybe not necessarily like physically with the metals, but like her being there has
Like that
caused that
could be the
wedge.
property of her investiture.
But
Yeah.
it's also we also have to keep in mind the fact that he does have ruin is stronger than preservation.
Mhm.
So the ruin side of Sazed is stronger than the preservation side.
I
He
was
just
kind of
needs to go out to
thinking,
like a random comet and blow it up a bit.
but like along the same lines, he is, I think, a lot more connected to preservation than to ruin, right?
He is because of who he is as a person,
So
not because of the investiture itself. The investiture ruin is stronger. So he has to consciously fight against that.
So that's what I'm thinking, is that Sazed just literally can't hold these two shards together anymore. Like they're just
That's what I was thinking.
two polar opposites, and he's not connected to both of them equally either. So I'm thinking that
But I like that ambition has sort of caused it to accelerate, maybe. Like it was already tearing apart, but she like shoved a wedge into it.
No, Wax did that. He
Watched it.
literally shoved a wedge of Favadin between
Oh, I don't think
preservation and
it's like
ruin.
physically. I think ambition investing herself onto Scadrial has caused this at an accelerated rate.
when you say ambition, you don't mean
Autonomy. Damn it.
okay. I was gonna say you don't mean
I always
autonomy,
say
right?
ambition.
Yeah.
Yeah, autonomy. Bavadin.
Yeah, ambition is maybe dead.
Yeah, ambition is dead. But I've always been I want to see ambition more, so I always say her name.
I could kind of see how if Harmony was being pushed to make all this new technology a reality so that Scadrial isn't left in the dust, it would be putting a strain on using that power, especially when
Mhm.
you wouldn't be using the ruin aspect of it. Most likely you'd be using preservation. I'm not really sure. It seems like his hands are pretty much tied, or they have been for a while.
Mhm. And what about okay, now that we're taking a step back, this did seem sort of queuing up Wax for something. I don't know what, but this seemed to set him up for something. I don't. Like I got the feeling like we know that Stormlight, he was creating a sword. We know that Wax is the sword, but like it seemed that the sword was supposed to be protection from the entire Cosmere to worry about all threats, not just for this random one that happened to come his way.
I'd like to believe it, but I don't. I think this is the last we're gonna see of Wax.
This is
Me
the last
too.
we're gonna see of Wax.
But like, what if he created another secret organization? Or maybe like his kids, that could be like a descendant thing, or his family becomes like the sort of protectors of Scadrial from other shards.
That would be cool.
That's a little
I don't
Van
know.
Helsing, I think. That's yeah, or
I
maybe
just
Castlevania. I don't know.
I just feel like Sazed saying we need a sword to protect us, and then like he used the sword in these four books, kind of really technically once against a different shard, and that's gonna be it.
No, he used it more than once because he used it with Lessie as well.
Yeah, but not all of that. That wasn't his sword. That was a sword within Scadrial protecting Scadrial, but this was
No,
against another
because
shard.
Lessie was acting.
Yeah, but Leslie was just insane. She was spiked with Bavadidium,
Yeah, and
but
so
she was still just Leslie.
She was being influenced um by autonomy.
I think that he already protected the Cosmere by driving back autonomy from Scadrial, because if autonomy takes over Scadrial, then who can really stand up to that shard?
I think that in separating and dividing autonomy in her essence out like that, I think she makes herself weaker on individual worlds, especially worlds that already have established shards. Like I think that from a raw investiture standpoint, that is gonna in the long run gonna end up making her weaker in any one place.
Mhm.
I can see
Autonomy
that.
is very weird. Like she can create avatars that have no sentience, but she can also create her own perpendicularities.
Do we
That
have that?
was
I don't remember that.
well, that's what she
Yes.
was doing. She was creating her own
In the
perpendicularity on
community?
Scadrial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's like under very specific circumstances, she can create a perpendicularity, but like
And
that's a random power.
that's why there's a perpendicularity on the first of the sun.
That's her.
That's her.
Huh.
Because Pachi is an avatar of autonomy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's cool.
Which I
So
would like to
that
just say is strange that an island is an avatar of a shard.
That
That's
is.
just so weird to me.
It's a very personified island, but yet
It
is still a
is.
landmass.
Yeah.
I
Probably.
do have to say one of the things I didn't like is how like it was basically like here's the formidable army, and then we never really see them.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a
Yeah.
letdown.
Like it would have been cool if like they're coming through and like some of them got through, and that's going to be our limited amount of Bavadidium that we somehow have to keep around for who knows how long.
I would have really liked like an Avengers style. We gotta close this portal, but they're like coming through, and it's like this big battle.
Hmm.
Like something like that would have been cooler than just kind of seeing them through
Through the window.
right
Yeah.
through the realmatic window. That'd be a good
This was
band name.
very much a Marvel movie to me.
yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
kind of what it feels like. Is that like come together? Like let's
This
suit
felt
up.
very much like a Marvel movie.
oh yeah, because like if you think about the Marvel escalation, you go from like each hero having their own individual little storylines, and there's nods here and there, and you know it's connected or whatnot. But then you take that idea and you get to like Infinity War, where it's like, okay, the gloves are off now. This is just like a movie with everybody, and if
Yeah.
you're not caught up, it's your own fault, basically.
I wouldn't say this one's like an Infinity War. I would say this one's like a. Hmm.
Avengers, the
I
The
first
would
first one.
no.
Avengers.
I would say it's more of Age of Ultron because it has like we've already known these people for so long. They have been working together, but it's just here's this really bad thing that could happen. Like they've already been dealing with this kind of thing already.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, Infinity War would be like
You
Odium
know,
and
when we got
Autonomy showing up, and like everybody's here. Like this is,
that
yeah,
when Night Radiants are there,
yeah,
which I heard a theory that the
Oh,
Alamancers that destroy the boat or get people off the boat in Ellendale, the ones
we're
that tell,
Skybreakers.
yeah, I
That's what I
didn't,
heard as well. I don't like it, and I don't
yeah,
think it has merit.
yeah, me neither, because I never saw anything about them glowing, or that kind of throws a lot of things for Stormlight 5 out the window.
Yeah.
Like when she's told your sister says good luck or goodbye or hello.
yeah. That would be weird. Also, if Skybreakers were there, that would mean that they probably have access to Stormlight, and if you can get Stormlight on Scadrial, like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I feel like we're trying to figure out how to do that right now.
Yeah. And that kind of says like, oh, we can somehow get Spren off world now.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of a
Well,
problem.
that would put your Hoyd issues to ease.
But they didn't. Which I love. White wax literally floating in the ocean, and then just here comes Hoyd in a tugboat. Toot toot.
That was so funny.
That was great. After he's been trying to like pick him up the whole book.
Hmm.
It's like your carriage, sir.
I thought for
I just find
sure,
it's
like with that first scene when they're supposed to go in the carriage with Hoyd, I thought for sure there was going to be some really important thing that Hoyd was supposed to tell him there. They
Hoyd
didn't get
was
to.
literally like Alfred this entire book.
Yeah.
So weird.
He's
It
always
was.
where he needs to be.
I just feel like maybe he's recovering from whatever happened in Stormlight 5. Like he's hiding out on a shard world where he can trust the shard or think he can manipulate the shard.
But
Yeah, that sounds a lot more like Hoyd right there.
Yeah.
also, you gotta remember, he doesn't choose where he goes all the time.
Right, that's also true.
This is true, but I'm thinking like whatever happened in Stormlight 5, either with Terravodium hurting him, or maybe he broke the bond he had, like he's recuperating where he knows he'll be fine, in a sense. Or also maybe like the fact that his memories got altered, maybe that's why he seems so weird this book. I
Yeah,
don't know.
the longer I think about it with Hoyd, I'm getting closer to this idea of him as like this person who's completely not in control of where or when they are. Like it really seems like he's at the whim of some grander intelligence that we don't know about, and it's like the fact that he's here could be him hiding, or it could also just be where he happens to be. Like, does anyone else
Yeah,
get that sense?
because well, so he did. He wished. He made a wish a very long time ago to be where he needed to be, where something like
Connection to
that.
Fortune.
It to always be where he was needed.
Mhm.
But the problem is he's always where he's needed, but he doesn't know why he's there.
Mhm.
He doesn't know why he needs to go to different places all the time. He can guess, and he's very good at making educated guesses about it, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know why he has to go somewhere. So like in Stormlight, when he um in the epilogue for Words of Radiance, where he's just sitting there hanging out,
Into a-
playing his flute, just beat bopping along. Like hanging out. He's just there. He's like, I know I need to be here, and someone's gonna arrive. Don't know who it is. I think it's gonna be Yasna. Not sure. I don't know why I'm here, but I need to be here.
Well, the
Oh
thing
my
is, like,
gosh.
yes, but also like he's been with Wax as his carriage driver for minimum 6 years. Like that seems an awfully long time for him to stay on a shard planet, specifically like within one area,
How long has he been on
just to.
Roshar? How long was he on Roshar?
Yeah, but he was always having like something to do on Roshar.
How long
Like
was he
Roshar's in the
on?
middle of a war.
But how long was
Also,
he on Roshar as Elhokar's wit?
Mm,
also with his tendency to disappear, we don't know that he was staying on Roshar at that point.
yeah, because we
It's
knew he
possible he
disappeared and
was
reappeared a lot.
right.
This
So
is
it's
true.
possible he was traveling between shard worlds or even minor Cosmere worlds. Like nothing says he has to stay on the worlds where there are established shards.
But I definitely got the impression like he's been here and he has not really left. Because they would have said something about, oh yeah,
He
that's our crazy crab gyre that just comes and goes sometimes.
he's been there for at least 8 years because he was Wax's carriage driver in Shadows of Self as well.
But
He doesn't
question
really
for
seem
raise,
to
why
be
didn't he
himself.
recognize him?
Like, usually when you see Wit, he's doing a little bit of magic, right? And I don't think we've seen him do any of that in Era 2. Seems like
We
he's...
saw him do it at the end of Bands of Mourning, kind of when he gives Wax the coin, but that's been pretty much it.
What did he do? Did he,
Well,
like,
and
shoot it at
that's
him?
not even like magic. That's like sleight of hand magic.
Yeah, it
Uh,
wasn't. It wasn't the here's the story. Pixie dust.
I just had a little what if in my mind, and I'd have to go back and reread the epilogue for Rhythm of War to see if this is even feasible. But what if in that moment when Terravodium is like picking through his brain, he's screwed with Hoyd's ability to be where he needed to be, and or possibly screwed with his Spren bond.
I thought
Because
he could
we
only
don't
mess
see
with.
him. We don't see Hoyd talking to Design after that.
But that's because she ran off.
But why does
Eh,
Spren run off? Because they don't have a bond. They don't have an attachment, right? We see that with Syl. We
yeah,
see
but
that.
like she was like running off to go chase like a coin or something, I thought. And he said, I
Or
can only
as the
affect. And like Terravodium said, like, I cannot hurt you, but these memories that you have hidden in these breaths, I can destroy those. And, like, I thought those were just only memories. I like the idea of Terravodium doing so. I just don't think that action is that.
I mean, I guess time will tell, but and like I said, I'd have to go back and reread because I don't remember for sure if that, how that interaction went. It was one of the more awkward to follow interactions. Because you really don't know who was getting the better of whom.
It was definitely Terravodium.
I love that epilogue so much. It's just so
It
cool.
scared the crap out of me. It
Oh yeah, me
terrified
too. I was like, oh god, no, what's happening?
Like, supposedly the prologue's gonna have Hoyd point of view where he figures out, wait, I just got bamboozled. Brandon is 25% done with Stormlight 5 Draft 1.
And he said that's a generous 25% because that assumes, I think he said 40,000 words or something like that. Or maybe it was 4,000 words per percent or something like that.
Yeah.
And the books tend to be longer than the whatever
Prediction.
400,000 it he bases that off of. So
Kay, when you were at Dragonsteel, did they do any Stormlight 5 readings?
They did. I'm not telling you what they're about. Calm down.
Could you tell Reader all the spoilers?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Reader all the
will shut
spoilers
this down
right now.
so fast.
So this is what is exactly what was said. I'm not gonna tell you. It's fine. Yeah, so he did readings from some of the Kaladin chapters at the beginning.
There's Kaladin chapters?
In
Of course there's
Stormlight,
Kaladin. It's Stormlight. What kind of question is that?
my boy.
Well, now, spoilers! I now know there's Kaladin chapters.
And
Wait, this book
he
has
also-
chapters?
Oh, what?
Exactly.
He also did readings from the Zeth flashback chapters.
Wow.
For years.
That's really spoilery. That's like stuff
No,
I've wanted
so
to know
the
for
Zeth-
I
years.
can't believe you would ruin the book for me like this.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The Zeth flashback chapters are the ones that he read at the non-spoiler Q&A because you don't need to have read the rest of the Stormlight books to hear the flashback chapters. Like, they won't spoil anything in the books.
They
Because
just
it's all in
tease
the
things
past.
that are going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, besides the prelude, the Stormlight Archives opens with a Zeth flashback. You ever think about that?
Oh yeah, I guess technically, yeah. Yeah.
I
So it's
wonder
kind of
which
cool
one
that it's
we're
like
going to see this one.
closing with it.
But yeah. The
Okay,
witch.
but back to Mistborn.
I already know who it is. So I was like, you don't know who that is? I was like,
Okay, how do we block K? Just like right click, disable video. Oh, there's a mute button. Don't make me use this, young lady.
just gonna mute reader right now.
That's my trick. You can't do this.
For listeners, on this podcast, we do not talk about preview chapters because Reader avoids them, and we would hate to spoil anything for him. So, if anything preview, any of the
me.
secret project stuff, like we just don't really talk about it. We kind of pretend it doesn't exist.
Also, for the viewers, like if they don't want to know, it's better safe than sorry. Why are you making this all my fault?
Because you just froze. Oh, there you go. You're back.
This is not my fault.
Well, it's how we came to
I
that
do the
decision.
intro around here. I'm in charge.
I like sticking with that decision. It's like we don't talk about anything that's not officially canon. I do kind of like that, but that's how we got there, right?
Like there's WOBs and then there's semi-canon. WOBs are okay.
So, was there anything else we wanted to talk about? Like, any more predictions or any reactions for the Lost
Like in
Metal?
Mistborn? Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I loved sorry.
No, I was gonna say there's nothing else that I really want to talk about, but I don't know about y'all, so
Nothing really predictionary, but I loved when Marsh Moash
Marsh.
Marsh. It's a single letter difference. It's like Kaladin and Kelsier all over again.
Melon?
But I love when Marsh shows up at Wayne's statue. He's like, wow, they did good on this one. I remember when they tried to do Vince and it took them like 8 tries.
I also like that he calls Wax brother.
Yes.
Because they're
Oh,
both spiked
When
now.
he first said brother, I was confused. I was like, is Kelsier here?
I wanted to
He's a
see
new breed
that.
of Inquisitor.
I really want to see Kelsier talking to his brother again.
Oh.
no, we got to save that for Space Age when they have lightsabers.
I do believe that
If-
is coming.
If Marsh survives that long.
Well, he's got 18 again, the compound, so
Well.
they can keep doing it again and again.
They
Like
can.
Sazet
And it's-
says, supposedly, that they continued the experiment a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. And he also says that they weren't able to reproduce it yet. But he
Mhm.
says that, and I think that, and I maintain that even though he says that, they will be successful, and the more they do it, the more he's going to tear himself apart mentally to reflect the separation of his body.
I don't think that
Mm.
I don't think tearing apart Harmonium into the last human preservation is going to do that. I think ambition being there did that.
We'll see.
Who
Time
knows?
will tell.
Time will tell.
I think it is far too strong a parallel because people were experimenting with it, and then now all of a sudden Kelsier says, I don't know, he's been a little funny lately. And then now people are experimenting with it more, and they're actually producing enough atium and lerasium to be usable, and it's manifesting more and more, and now they're experimenting with it more. The more I think about it, the more I'm going with that one, and that Discord is going to be the big bad hick rather than Thydakar.
If so, me burning, let's say ATM, because we know that one actually goes back. Since there's no ruin, would that go back to Harmony, or would that start to pool into ATM again? Like into ruin again?
We don't
It
know
would-
enough about how it formed.
I think it would go back to Harmonium because of the fact that when they burned the ATM at the end of Hero of Ages, it didn't go to ruin. That power didn't go back to ruin. After they burned it, it went back to the pits to be made into more ATM geodes.
Except it didn't,
Yes.
because Kelsier destroyed the crystals.
It still goes back to
but it
the
still
pits,
goes
but it just can't
back
form.
there. Yeah, it just can't form.
But that was still ruin. That was where preservation put all ruins condensation. But
Ruin's
this
body.
is ruin investiture. Would it go back to this amalgamation, or does it kind of pull at that?
I think it would go back to the amalgamation because Sazed is holding both of the shards.
Barely, it seems.
We don't know enough about how it works, I think, because we don't know if once the investiture is used, it's not consumed. Right? Does it go back somewhere, or is it just consumed for an effect? And then more investiture is created over time through the pooling.
I have to
Is it
believe
even heat investiture?
that there's like a set amount of investiture. Like, I just feel like the conservation of energy thing would carry forward to investiture. Just that's my personal feeling.
We don't.
But Sanderson likes physics.
Yeah.
Sanderson likes physics a lot.
He does, but
So
I think rules
he would, but
Yeah.
but because of that, I think he would keep that. It doesn't seem on brand for him to throw out the conservation of mass and energy rule.
Yeah,
right.
it's kind of
then how does the investiture that's being used produce an effect if it's all being conserved? Right? Where does that energy come from then?
I disagree with the fact that harmonium being split is causing the split, but I do like the idea. But what if burning those metals is causing a further drift? Like, you've got the big pool of harmonium or harmony investiture, but then you've got Erasium just got burned, which is kind of weird, and that goes back to preservation, but there's no preservation, and the only way it can get back to harmonium is with ruin, but they don't want to. So now you've got three pools. You got Lerasium, you got ATM, and then you've got the harmonium investiture.
So if
Like,
you're
what if
drawing
as like
from ruined side of it, it's or if you're drawing from the preservation side of it, it's like splitting it more and more.
Yeah, or instead of everything going back into one cup, it's like filling up into three. Basically, at some point, it's gonna just everything goes back to the original two.
Maybe.
Like, once it reaches half on each, then that means there's less than a
So would
half
there
in the
then
middle.
become potentially ruin, harmony, and preservation? Would we create a new shard that way, or would they become splinters at that point?
I think it would go back to ruin and preservation, but the question is what happens to Sazed?
I was thinking one of my predictions was, I think maybe Kelsier or someone else is going to take up the shard of ruin so that Sazed just has to do the job of preservation. Because I think he's good at that. I think it's just having both of them that's tearing him apart and is tying his hands at the same time.
See, I don't think there's anybody yet who would be able to work tandemly with Sazed, because they still have to remain in equilibrium, and we can't risk another whole betrayal thing happening again. So
Yeah.
like we would need like two people who work perfectly with each other, and so far the only people who kind of fit that are like Kelsier and Marsh, but kind of. But that would mean that Kelsier would be getting ruin while Marsh would be getting preservation.
I would love
And
that.
Marsh cannot take up preservation though because he has too many spikes in him.
Yeah. Which would mean Kelsier would be preservation, and that just sounds wrong.
And we already
I-
know that preservation's investiture does not want to go into Kelsier.
Yeah.
I think if we see twins in Mistborn Era 3,
We've got our
know
new
what's gonna
preservation
happen.
ruin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do like the idea
That
of
would be terrifying.
the brothers, Kelsier and Marsh, getting back together to take down another god. If like Discord just becomes this evil, horrible thing that needs
That
to be
would
stopped.
be cool. That would be really cool. Is there anything else?
I'm good.
No? You good? What about you, John?
I'm trying to think of something, but it's not happening. So I guess we'll be good for now. If I think it's something, I'll bring it up next time.
Well, is that going to be it then? Okay. So thank you so much for sticking around so far into this episode. I can skip that part because there is not going to be a spoiler section.
This whole thing was pretty much a spoiler section.
It pretty much was.
Oh, I'm really sorry to like derail, but just one last thing. I wanted to ask, like, we all really liked this book, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah! I feel like we
I'm
didn't
gonna
really
say-
get that out there yet, but we loved it. I loved
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I don't
I will
know
say-
if it was my favorite of the Era 2, but I did like it.
I'm going to put this one on number 1 because it's like the first one that I've had come out where I'm like fully aware. I'm going to say Hero of Ages is 2, Bands of Morning is 3. Currently.
I think it is one of my favorite in the Cosmere so far because of the big, like, fun, like, oh, this is like in your face Cosmere now.
Mhm.
Oh, no. Overall, Cosmere, this is probably like book 6 for me.
Jeez.
I don't get me wrong, absolutely love them, but Mistborn is my third favorite Cosmere work.
Wow.
There's only like 2 main series.
And it's my second favorite of the main series.
Wow.
I like Stormlight, Warbreaker, and then this one.
That
But
makes sense.
that's-
Warbreaker is literally a prequel just for Vasher.
So far, there's another book coming out.
That was
Besides
why he
Breaths-
wrote it. He wrote
Breaths-
it literally just to be a prequel.
I know, but he's also said that breaths are going to be integral, like all of the other investitures, and so they are getting
Mhm.
more screen time.
I kind of get what you're
Yeah.
saying about how this is the first one that you were anticipating, you were excited for. Like, I feel that way right now, and I just feel really lucky that we're at a place where we have all these people who are really into this thing, and nobody quite knows what's going on, and we're all we have this chance to speculate and talk about all these different things and theorize and predict. And I think we're really lucky to be living in this era and to have these books to go through. And having this one come out and having things in there that I know that if I hadn't spent 100 hours reading these books, I would have no idea what the hell they were talking about. Like, that was awesome and so satisfying.
I felt that way about Words of Radiance.
Get your
I-
Stormlight out of here.
I seriously, I read Wave Kings like 6 times before Words of Radiance came out, and when that book came out, I was so happy. I can't even express it. I was so happy I made myself look like an idiot in front of Brandon Sanderson, and twice, in fact. So there you go.
If he ever watches this
See-
podcast, it'll be like 100 times for me.
He'll be like, I remember that guy. He was a dumbass.
See, for
Except he'd be way
me,
more polite about it because he's just that way.
For me, the first book that I was excited about was Way of Kings because that was like I got to go to a signing for it. I was so excited about it. I was dead tired. Because we had just gotten back from a trip to Scotland, and it was like the next night was the signing, and so we were dead tired. But it was so much fun. Like I remember that, like being in I was in middle school at the time, but I was like so excited about it. I was like, oh, I have to sign my books. I was like, gonna get to see him, get to meet him. This is awesome.
And then it's like one of the
Oh my
best
God,
books
I'm so
ever
young.
written.
And it's a new book, and it's a new book that's coming out, and I really liked the Mistborn books. Did not like Way of Kings the first time I read it, but
Me neither.
You know what? I was really confused by it the first time I read it, and that's why I went back and read it the second time, and then things started making sense, and I went, "This book is awesome!" And then I read
Especially
it like,
especially the epigraphs.
yeah, I
"Oh
was too
yeah."
young. I was too young to read it.
Yeah.
I had someone to like ask questions and stuff, so I felt like I was lucky. It clicked with me for that reason, I feel like.
Yeah, I
Well,
spent many days fishing, listening to Way of Kings.
I think
Just
we are
trying to
very
absorb
lucky to be able to enjoy it as it is, because like think about it in the future, like our kids are not going to be able to appreciate, like for example, Marvel, like Endgame and Infinity War the way we have when they've
Yeah.
got the Sesame Street Teletubbies Bear in the Big Blue House crossover show whenever they want. And it's going to be so used to it. It's like, oh, they've already rebooted this 3 times now. Just like we're starting this. We are now at the point where everything is starting to connect.
The next generation will look at these like we look at Tolkien. They're going to be they're examples of the pinnacle of what epic fantasy can be.
Mhm.
No question about that.
Yeah. Is that good for final comments? Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for sticking around so far into this episode. Please be sure to subscribe, leave a like, star, heart, or whatever it is on this video or audio, and don't be afraid to comment your own thoughts and predictions. We would love to hear from you. My name is Reader. I've been joined by Swiggityswoo.
Thanks for watching/listening, and I can't wait to see you guys for Hero of Ages.
I have been joined by John.
I arrived precisely when I meant to.
You arrived right on time. We've got Kay.
It's good talking.
And that's going to be it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us in our ramblings and predictions. Please be sure to remember that there's always another connection. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Oh, did y'all see? There was a Word of Brandon where someone asked him if, like far in the future, after like the meaning of Wayne's statue in his hat is like gone, and it's like just in like legend and stuff, if people would still be continuing to change the hat on the statue, and he said yes, that it would become like it's just like part of their society, that this is what happens.
Like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where they just have a guard like guarding it at all times. Kind of that idea.
That's what I started thinking.
Yeah, this is kind of the
That's awesome.
Maybe Wayne's thing becomes like a sort of memorial.
Yeah. I really like that idea of the removable hat. It's perfect for him.
it is. It's perfect for him.
But the only thing is, I can only ever picture him in a bowler hat. So maybe
See,
they-
what's for me?
He
what?
wasn't wearing his lucky hat when he died.
Mhm.
That's why he died.
Oh, that's
He
sad.
never died wearing that hat.
He didn't have his lucky hat.
See, what I always imagined is like either like the statue has like it's like normal to here, and then the rest of it is just like the screw divot. So this way they just plop the hat on.
Yep. I was picturing the same thing. Like it slots in so nicely. Just
Uh-huh.
and they're all made of like gold, right? Like I don't know what the statue's made out of, but these hats have to be made out of the same thing. Like they're all metallic hats. They're not just like a regular
I
one.
thought it was copper for some reason.
Copper was the cheapest one back then, so I would think. So that means it's going to be green by Era 3.